Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in today, mapping out the anatomy of resilience specifically for us in the actuarial and risk management sectors. If you've been in this industry for any length of time, you already know we aren't just dealing with numbers, right? We're dealing with absolute chaos. Today, we're reflecting on 30 years of industry experience, market crashes, shifting regulations. But we're not doing it that poring over pages of raw data. Instead, we're deconstructing one monumental idea. It's an idea that's going to reframe exactly how you look at every single predictive model you build and every catastrophic challenge you face. We're literally breaking down the mechanics of what it actually means to transform under the heaviest burdens imaginable.
Okay, let's dive into this. A diamond is a piece of coal that did well under pressure. Just let that profound simplicity wash over you for a second. A diamond is a piece of coal that did well under pressure. Now, I know it's an incredibly famous sentiment, but today, we're going to treat it like a scientific schematic for global risk management. We're tearing it apart word by word, stage by stage, to really understand the structural transformation it describes and how it perfectly mirrors the evolution of a seasoned professional. Section 1. The ordinary material, examining the baseline. You know, every great architectural feat, every massive chemical reaction, and every compelling career story has to start somewhere. It requires a starting material. And our source text is brilliantly grounded. It doesn't begin up in the sky, it begins deep in the earth. It starts with literally the most unassuming, everyday substance you can possibly imagine.
Coal, the ordinary, unrefined baseline material existing before any ordeal or transformation takes place. Think about the actuarial baseline 30 years ago. Or think about a junior risk analyst, fresh out of university, dealing with simple, linear models way before the global economy became infinitely more complex and interconnected. It's dark, it's brittle, and frankly, it's untested. But that is the absolute beauty of this concept. It tells us that every single great transformation, the kind that yields something unbreakable and brilliant, starts from a completely common foundation. Nobody starts out as a bulletproof chief risk officer. You start out as raw, unrefined data.
Section 2. The weight of pressure, the unseen catalyst. Look, if you leave a piece of coal completely alone, resting comfortably on a shelf in perfect undisturbed safety, it's going to remain exactly what it is for a million years. It takes an active, highly disruptive, and entirely invisible force to actually threaten that baseline state. Now, what's really interesting here is this concept of pressure, an intense, potentially crushing external force that demands a response from the material. Think about what pressure has looked like in the risk sector over the last 3 decades alone. The dot-com bust, the 2008 financial crisis, massive regulatory overhauls like Solvency II, the global pandemic. These are the crushing external forces of our industry. But the text doesn't frame pressure as an enemy. It doesn't look at the crushing weight of global economic panic as something unfair or malicious. Instead, it positions pressure as a strictly necessary environmental condition for change. The pressure is the catalyst. Without those historic, suffocating weights pressing down from all sides, the possibility of the diamond, the resilient risk model, literally does not exist. 11. Now, as actuaries, we absolutely love reducing massive, chaotic complexities into elegant, efficient formulas, don't we? Well, this 11-word sentence is the ultimate formula for career survival. It's an astonishingly efficient piece of language. It doesn't waste a single syllable. But out of these 11 words, there's a specific linguistic crux that activates the entire metaphor. A very specific action taking place right smack in the middle of the sentence. Section 3. Doing well, the crucial action. Up until this point, we've only had a subject, the junior analyst or the raw data, and an environment, the market crashes and crises. But those two things alone absolutely do not guarantee a diamond. If you just have coal and pressure, well, you very often just get crushed coal. You get a failed firm. There has to be an action.
That did well. This is the absolute beating heart of our source material. What does it actually mean to do well when you have thousands of tons of market volatility and executive panic pressing down on you? It implies an active survival mechanism. In the risk sector, doing well isn't just passively surviving. It's actively stress testing your models. It's adapting instantly to new catastrophic data and holding incredibly firm on your risk boundaries when executives are demanding higher margins in a bullish market. The structure actively responds to the hostile environment. It rearranges itself. It bonds tighter. It holds its ground. Let's move to and see how this builds chronologically over a 30-year risk management career. Step 1. Being coal. You exist in your raw state. Maybe you're a fresh analyst with naive linear models. Step 2. Facing pressure. The environment applies an overwhelming demand. Unprecedented market shocks hit the global economy. Step 3. Doing well.
You actively adapt, you run the stress tests, and you hold your structural integrity together. And step 4, becoming a diamond. You emerge as an unbreakable industry leader. This text isn't just a poetic thought, it's a sequential formula for professional evolution. If you remove step 3, the active doing well part, you literally never reach step 4. Section 4, the final transformation, the realization of resilience. So we've navigated the baseline, we've survived the unseen catalysts of financial crises, and we've executed the crucial action. Now we finally arrive at the triumphant stage of the narrative arc, the reward for enduring the unbearable. The diamond, the refined, unbreakable outcome resulting strictly from navigating extreme pressures successfully. In our world, the diamond is that seasoned chief risk officer whose judgment is implicitly trusted, precisely because it was forged in the fires of past financial disasters. It's the refined, bulletproof predictive model that can actually withstand a black swan event. Notice the stark contrast to where we began. We started with something untested and brittle, right? And we end with something clear, brilliant, and known as the hardest naturally occurring substance on the planet. The brilliance is, quite literally, just a byproduct of survival. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive gap between the before and the after. Think about the fragile, untested risk models of 30 years ago versus the incredibly robust, multivariable, pressure-tested, stochastic frameworks we use today. Genetically, atomically, they are the exact same core mathematics. The only variable that separates the naive approach from the unbreakable framework is the variable of doing well under pressure. 30 years of surviving economic volatility is the great separator. The ordeal itself is what unlocks the ultimate value. Section 5, the viewer connection, applying the text. Up until now, we've been analyzing this explainer strictly through the lens of geology and metaphorical text, but the real beauty of this 11-word quote is that it wasn't written for geologists, it was written for human beings, and it applies directly to your daily work in risk management. So, I have to ask you, how do you respond to pressure? When the mortality tables shift unexpectedly, or when a brand new, unforeseen, catastrophic risk emerges on the global stage, do your models crumble, or do your structural bonds tighten? This is the bridge between the metaphorical piece of coal and the reality of your daily professional life. The pressure you feel when modeling an unprecedented risk isn't unique. It's the exact same unseen catalyst we just spent the last few minutes dissecting. Pressure is the required catalyst for your transformation. In the actuarial world, risk and the intense pressure it brings isn't a bug in the system. It is the system. It's the core engine of our profession and the absolute required catalyst for industry innovation. That heavy weight you feel on your shoulders when validating a high-stakes model, it's not there to break you. It is the very mechanism required to forge your resilience. If you want the brilliance, if you want the unbreakable nature of the seasoned professional, you absolutely cannot avoid the pressure. You have to seek it out, and you must structurally respond to it. So the crucial point is this. A diamond is a piece of coal that did well under pressure. Seeing these 11 words again at the end of our explainer, I really hope they carry an entirely new weight for you. It's not just a cute saying anymore. It is a structural mandate for a resilient career in risk. Every single time you feel the weight of global volatility closing in on you, I want you to remember this simple sentence. And I'll leave you with one final thought to carry with you today. When the next black swan event inevitably arrives, what kind of diamond will you and your risk models prove to be?